In part 1 we went over basic posing, and established that Iplehouse simply can't take the weight, not even managing to sustain the simplest of poses. Let's see how Fairyland does it. The alternate stringing that Fairyland uses allows the Feeple to hold her balance while posing effortlessly. Her extra ball joints boost her mobility, and her joints sit together so snug that she just falls into each pose naturally. Both her feet and calves are removable, so they don't put strain on the main string. Her weight is distributed so well that she can hold her balance even when she's not standing on both feet. I've gotten her to stand on one foot before, but I just couldn't get her to do it in front of the camera. The Feeple's posing seems effortless because she is so well engineered. Let's see how well she sits. When I first got this doll, I couldn't figure out how she's supposed to sit. I just put her down, and she won't stay. What you really have to do is lock the thighs, otherwise she won't maintain a straight sitting position at all. For this you just have to push inwards until you hear a clicking sound, but it's very unreliable. The joint tends to fall out again. And even when she's sitting, you can see that she's not sitting completely straight. Her back is very arched. But this has more to do with how the doll is made than the actual pose. The reason I don't like the locking mechanism is because it won't stay put. If you nudge your doll a little too much, she will snap back. Another thing that annoys me is that you can only sit her with the locking mechanism, otherwise she won't sit, so she's completely unable to cross her legs. The ball joints in her knees are really an excellent thing. She can sit on them without any trouble. Because she can arch her back so much, she can lie flat in her stomach with her feet in the air. This pose is wonderful because it's so human. Well, there you have it. A lot of poses, a lot of difficulties. But what can you say? They're both ST-sized dolls. They're huge and quite heavy. Of course, the Feeple65s and the Mini Fees, and probably even the JIDs pose a lot better than these two. But be that as it may, given the consequence of their height and weight, they both did a pretty good job. It's just that Fairyland somehow found a way to do it better. So let's talk aesthetics. You can't deny that Iplehouse looks absolutely amazing. They look like real people, not just dolls. And even if the Feeple is very beautiful, she can't match Iplehouse's realism. It's like I said, each company does what they do best. With Fairyland, it's the posing. With Iplehouse, it's definitely the looks. You get a different feeling when you're holding each doll. When you hold the Fairyland, everything feels convenient and so easy. When you're holding the Iplehouse, it may feel a little stiff, but the doll is just so breathtakingly beautiful that you kind of forget all about that. That's why Iplehouse dolls always stand out amongst others. You can always spot one a mile away. I like to think of them as the demigods amongst BJDs. There is also great difference in the feel of these dolls. Iplehouse resin, for example, feels very rough, almost velvety. And Fairyland resin, well, feels so smooth. Resin chocolatey fudge coated. In terms of wigs, Iplehouse definitely takes an 8 to 9 inch wig cap, and most 8 to 9 inch wigs should fit her. If the wig has a more snug fit, it will look more realistic with this head because it's so small. But the Feeple has such a disproportionately huge melon that most 8 to 9 inch wigs won't really fit her. It will be a very tight fit at the most. For the eyes, I always recommend 12mm eyes for Iplehouse. Don't even try to put anything bigger in them. Their eye sockets are just way too small, 10 to 12mm max. And try to get low dome eyes if you can, otherwise you'll have a gap between socket and eyeball. And you don't want to give your Feeple huge eyes either. Her sockets may be bigger, but I wouldn't give her any eyes bigger than 14mm. Eyes that are too large will give the doll an unrealistic look. Alright, we really have covered everything now. Poses, aesthetics, eyes, wigs, feel of the resin. And now it's time for the big question. Would it be a good hybrid? And the simple answer is unfortunately no, it wouldn't. The resin match is actually really bad. If you haven't already seen it, I'll demonstrate by switching off various light sources, because light usually washes out the resin color. You see it? How about now? Okay, I admit it's a little too dark here. But there's a good trick you can use to find out if two resin tones match. You need to make use of a neutralizing background, like so. That's pretty obvious now, isn't it? You can clearly see that Fairyland resin is a lot darker than Iplehouse's resin. It's also pinker in hue. And if you still don't believe me, I'll do one final test. There. This shouldn't leave a shadow of a doubt. Granted, Resin does look different on camera, and with a few nifty tricks with Photoshop and lighting, you can probably pull it off. But in person, believe me, it's a lot more apparent. Now there's one more thing we must do to see if a hybrid would be worth it. We have to swap the heads. Okay. Have you met my two new dolls, Giraffe and Bubblehead? No, seriously, this looks wrong. You can see the Iplehouse's neck is way too long for the Feeple's head. And even the Feeple's neck seems a bit long for the Iplehouse head. I think it might be better if you take away the Feeple's lock and key mechanism, since it's clearly obstructing the fit. But in my opinion, I think it would still look odd. And here you can see how obvious the color difference is. Not too good to look at, if you ask me. So there you have it. I really wanted to make this video because Iplehouse and Fairyland, to me, have always been the two great landmark companies in the hobby. There are many doll collectors who have both Iplehouse and Fairyland dolls, but they always tend to pick a favorite. I can't really decide. There's nothing like the look of an Iplehouse, and there's nothing like the posing of a Feeple. If someone who has only ever collected Fairyland dolls wanted to get an Iplehouse, I'd say get it. If someone who only has experience with Iplehouse dolls, but wanted to get a Fairyland, I'd say get it. In the end, it all comes down to your own subjective experience with the doll. Now my goal was to give insightful, in-depth information about these dolls, but there may be some questions I left unanswered. That's why I want to encourage everyone who has watched this video to please leave a comment down below. Did you like the video? Did you find it useful? Did you like the style of the video? And most importantly, if you have an Iplehouse or Fairyland, share your own experiences. That's it for me now. This video was a lot of fun and a lot of work to do. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a happy dolly day, guys.